Alright, hey everybody, we're back for round two. We're in the loser's bracket. We're 0-1. Hopefully we can do a little bit better. Hopefully our combo goes off. We get some good big guys out on the battlefield, and hopefully it doesn't get countered. Just waiting for our opponent to choose whether or not to play or draw first. There we go, they're playing first. They kept their 7. What do we got? Oh, we've got a Mesmeric Fiend we can cast. We can cycle Tranquil Thicket. We've got these guys we want to get in the graveyard, though. I guess we'll keep it. Simply because I don't necessarily know that much better. Swamp, eh? Forest, go ahead. Speaking of which, I just read up on Armor of Thorns. I was confused by that wording. I realize now that the permanent that it becomes is talking about itself. Because, of course, an enchantment aura, when it comes onto the battlefield, becomes a permanent. Very weird wording, but that basically means that you sacrifice Armor of Thorns if you cast it with Flash. Fledgling Djinn, eh? Well, we're going to Mesmeric Fiend and see what he has. He could be mono black aggro, maybe. What do we got? Plains, Death's Head, Buzzard, or a Spinal Graft. So he's pretty far away from casting that. He could cast that next turn, and this Fledgling Djinn would be pretty problematic. I don't know if we have that many abilities or anything that would target it to kill it. So I think we take it. Unfortunately, he can cast that next turn, and when it dies, he's going to get this back. But we're going to take that and buy ourselves a little bit of time. So next turn, we'll see that Buzzard come out, along with a Plains. Ooh, it even says it up here. That's kind of nice. Thopter Squadron will be turn 5. So at least he's just going to be attacking me for 2 this turn, and not 5. Seems like he's kind of black-white flyers, I guess. We're going to take 2. We're going to say hello to Mr. Buzzard and start taking 4 a turn. And we're going to see if we get anything worthwhile. We get a swamp. So, I guess we'll cycle this right now. Scourge Familiar, eh? You let me discard stuff. Pretty good. Gonna need to hit that Living Death soon, though. Really need a tutor for it. So there's his other plane. So he has a Thopter Squadron. Or is it called Thopter Squadron? Thopter something. In his hand. And then 2 unknown cards. Mana Prism is one of them. Forest, cool. Nothing we can do though. Gonna have to pass the turn. This guy can come out at least next turn. Unfortunately, I don't really want to reanimate those worms now that I've lost so much life. I'd be going down to 3 or 2 life if I were to do that. Thopter Squadron. So it's a 3/3. He can pay 1 to remove a counter to put a 1/1 Thopter, or he can sack a Thopter to bring it back. So it's kind of like Pentavis. It's kind of like the other ones that I can't remember the name of. But we're going to play this Scourge Familiar. We're going to block something. I guess maybe The Thopter Squadron. He can get a Thopter out of it. We'll take 4, go to 6. But he is essentially black-white flyers, which means that that one spell that we have is quite good. Alright, so we're going to block. And before it dies, we're going to use its discard ability. Get some mana that we're not going to use. And really, really, really hope for Living Death. So that we can get a bunch of big worms. When it enters the battlefield, target player loses 6 life, so I die. Alright, good game. Good game. So that was pretty bad. We got run over. Flyers are really good. What can I say about that? We've got our one thing against flyers, which would have killed everything he had. We don't have another one that I know of. We could fog. It seems awful, but I might do it. Is there anything I can replace for it? Having double reanimate's pretty bad against his deck. So yeah, let's put in the fog. At least it's a slightly better fog. It buys me 2 turns instead of 1. So we'll go with that and see if we can not get run over quite so quickly. And definitely hope for that 3 damage to all flyers card. Our opponent's heavily sideboarding, it seems. Probably let it slip with that mass discard at the end there that I am in fact a reanimator deck. Maybe he has some graveyard removal, something like that. I would love to play first. Thanks for asking. Sure, I guess. There's not much going on here, but I can cycle and I have some elves. So, yeah. So I guess we'll go forest, elves. Next turn, cycle the Tusker. Putrid Imp. Cool. But we're just going to pass the turn. And we're going to cycle this Tusker end of his turn. He's going to cycle his Secluded Steppe. Sure thing. Phantom Nomad. It's a 2/2. If damage would be dealt, prevent all the damage and remove a +1/+1 counter. Alright. So we're going to cycle the Tusker. We're going to go and get a Swamp. We're going to draw off the cycle a what? A worm. And a tendrils. Cool. So I guess we'll go forest, imp, cycle this. Sounds good. Sounds good. He's going to swing in with that 2/2, I imagine. Yep. I'll take the 2, sure thing. And we're going to see Dothy Mercenary. That is unblockable, and I don't know if I can kill it. Dark Hatchling is probably the only way. So I need to race him, really. Stupid Shadow. Maybe I should have taken it, although I think I saw a few go around. So we'll cycle this, see what we get. I guess Living Death would do it, of course. And we'll pass the turn. Another swamp. Yay. I will pass the turn. Or, no, I'll get in for 1. Don't even have to discard, because he can't block with Shadow. Need to not flood out. So at least he can only pump the mercenaries once. I've got enough land in hand that I think I'm okay just sacrificing the elves here, turning that into a 1/1. We're going to see a Mistmoon Griffin. Flying, when it dies, exile it. Return the top creature card of your graveyard to the battlefield. Ah, so this is a Graveyard Order Matters set. Hey, not a land. That's cool. He forest cycles, which isn't that useful. 1 away from being able to cast him. I think I just have to pass the turn. Gonna take a lot here. Two, 4, 5, 6. Go to 10. Could block the Griffin. Could block and kill the Nomad. Yeah, I guess let's block and kill the... No, that doesn't make any sense. Ugh. This guy's deck is much too fast for us. We're trying to do stuff late game. How big are you? You're a 4/5? I guess let's just block the Griffin. So I'll discard that worm. And then I could just cycle that just to get a land out of my deck. Block the Griffin. I don't think getting 1 land out of my deck is going to significantly improve my odds, though. Yet another flyer. Yeah, this is just a... Ooh, Living Death. Cool. Maybe I should have done it. So I can sweep his board and get back an imp, a very big worm, some elves, and a Tusker. It's pretty good. Let's do it. Should have discarded that too. So he has to order these because the trigger is still going to happen, I think. So the top of his graveyard is going to be... Oh, it's going to be the Griffin itself. Interesting. No. It was up there. I see. So the Nomad comes back. All right. Not quite sure how that worked, but whatever. We're doing ever so slightly better now. None of my big guys have trample, unfortunately. But I am threatening 13 right here. He's going to destroy my worm, so I'm going to get a bunch of 1/1 worms. That's okay. And he's going to pass the turn. Yeah, he's going to pass the turn. All right. So we can drop this swamp, I guess. And then maybe we just come in with everything. Except for these two. Yeah, let's do that. So he could block one of those and he would take 11, or he could just chump block that and he would take 7. Oh, he's going to kill one of those and he's going to take 12. Sure thing. Sure thing. And then we're just going to cast this. And then we've got tendrils that might be able to win out here. He is also stuck on mana. Oh, yeah, there we go. He just gives up. So, hey, we living death, and it worked. It actually worked. We just have to do that again for game 3. We need an early game, and I don't know if we can do it. Nope. Nope, you can't block. I could try to hurt his land, but that seems bad. No, I don't think we have an early game. So we're going to go back in with what we did. So he's playing first. What do we have? We have some lands and some really big guys. But we have that, which can slow the other, slow him down. This can come out eventually. I really don't like it, but I'll keep it. Really don't like it, but I'll keep it. Gonna need to hope that he falters and that we draw into things. Elves, that's a thing. We can forest cycle that next turn if we want to. Oh, there's his 2-drop. So flanking is the blocking creature gets -1/-1. Yeah, if it doesn't have flanking. Hey, Dark Hatchling. You're pretty good. So I think I'm just going to tap that down. And then I can forest cycle. Yeah, let's do that. Tap it down. Pass the turn. Anything to slow him down. Ooh, no 3-drop? Excellent. Let's forest cycle. Get a forest. Play that forest. Need a way to discard the Arrogant Worm there. Yep, play the forest. We need a swamp, so I don't even know if I want to cycle that. I maybe actually should have just played it now. Oh well. We will swing in for one. Unfortunately, with all these double blacks, I really can't justify cycling that. So I think I'm going to have to keep it. Which would really suck if I top deck a swamp. But if I top deck a swamp, I can bring this guy out. He'll sacrifice the paralyzed guy. But that'll be fine. Or actually, no, I could bring out the worm instead. Well, he's at his 4 land now. Even if I hit a forest, I can still bring out the worm. Smokestack. Beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each soot counter on Smokestack. Ew. Ew. That's gross. So let's not play any permanents. Let's not play any permanents. I will sacrifice the paralyze, maybe? Or wait. Oh, there's no counters on it, right? Right. I got it. Jungle worm, eh? So, I guess we have to play this Moor. Or we could gamble and cycle it. That's not going to let me have mana. Because I'm going to have to start sacrificing lands. That's gross. Alright, I'll play it out. And I'll bash in for 1. So what is it? At the beginning of the upkeep, put the counter on it. And then at the beginning... So I have to sacrifice first. That's awful. Oh, and he even... Does he get to put those in order? So he has to make sure that he's not putting this trigger before this trigger? Not sure how that works. So I think the first permanent I destroy will just be the paralyze. And then I can Dark Hatchling, I guess. So I have to destroy something. And it's going to be paralyze. Hit a land, so that's good. So, play that, and he can sacrifice one of his creatures. Play that, and I can choose which creature to destroy. So, I think I'll do that. And blow up his... well, if I blow up his Death's Hand, then my elves die. And then next turn I'm going to have to sack a land. 2 lands. Whoa, 2 lands. That's awful. That is awful. So I guess maybe I just blow that up. Oh, shit. Non-black. I'm an idiot. Non-black creature. Oh, that was bad. Oh well, whatever. So I have to sack 2 permanents next turn? So it's going to be 2 lands. It's going to leave me with 3 lands? Smokestack is awful. Smokestack is awful. And he basically gets to decide when to turn it off. So basically, next turn, if I sack 2 lands, he can then just turn off Smokestack by sacrificing it. Because you can sacrifice itself, right? Yeah. Card is awful. So I could trade here. Seems bad. Well, I guess I only have to sack 1 permanent. Yeah, because the counter only goes on in his turn. Right. So I'll sack a forest, I guess. Draw a wild mongrel. Well, that's pretty good. And I will pass the turn. He can probably pretty safely sack a land, I would imagine. Because he's playing so many low casting cost creatures. Can you do Madness as an instant? Probably. Not sure on that. Not that I have the 3 mana available. Alright, he's just going to sacrifice the Carnophage. Sure thing. In with the Ascari? Really? I'm going to block with my Mongrel. My Mongrel's going to become a 1/1, but that's fine, because I'll make it a 3/3. I will discard Jungle Worm, and it will become black. And I'll discard... Well, actually, no, that hasn't gone through yet, so I'll discard Symbiotic Worm as well. And it will stay black. Alright, so on this trigger, what I'm going to do is throw away the Arrogant Worm and discard with Madness. And I'm going to cast it. And I'm going to sacrifice... Oh, you don't have to put the counter on it. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So I will sack... I guess the Dark Hatchling. I get a Swamp. I will come in for 7. Oh no, I can't come with 7 because that's got Summoning Sickness. So I guess I'll come in with that and see what he thinks. I prefer not to discard this. He's just going to let it come through. Sounds good. And then I'll pass the turn back to him. Okay, so Smokestack's not as bad because I didn't realize the counter didn't always keep going on it. So he's going to have to sack a land or Smokestack or the Buzzard. He's going to cycle. Sounds good. Helps to read the cards, eh? So as long as I don't have to sacrifice a land, I can make him sacrifice whatever creature he has left. And I can maybe pull back with this. Maybe. But who knows? He does have a full hand of stuff. Or I could just top deck Living Death. Wouldn't that be fun? I think the Mongrels will get the throwaway this turn. So he sacked a land, played a land to play Dothy Mercenary. Sure, that can't block my guys. I'm totally okay with that. Come in for 2, sure thing. So, if I just sack a land, I can come in for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I sack a land, I can't play the predatory guy. But I mean, I'm not going to be discarding that much anymore, so maybe just getting rid of the Mongrels is the way to go. Oops, don't want to discard a card. I want to sacrifice the Mongrels. And draw Living Death. Putrid Imp. Alright. So, predatory dude it is. So he might sack... If he sacks the Buzzard, it's going to kill the Mercenary as well. So he's going to sack... Yeah, he sacks the buzzard. Okay. And it's all other creatures? Yeah, so the mercenary is going to die as well. He's going to save himself a single point of damage. And he has no creatures to sack, so he's going to have to sack a land to smokestack next turn. So Living Death might not even help me anymore. Because he'd get back 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd get back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, actually, it still would help me because I'd get to Dark Hatchling something as well. Maybe he just blows up the smokestack here. Who knows? Chooses not to put a counter on it. And taps the plains and then sacrifices that plains, I imagine. There it goes. Does he have an instant to play? Is he going to cycle something? No, the mana just goes away. He was just doing it for good practices. So I'm threatening 7 next turn if he doesn't have a blocker. Balance. Okay, so each player chooses a number of lands he or she controls equal to the number of lands controlled by the player who controls the fewest. Sacrifice the rest. Same for cards and creatures. So he has to discard cards, but I have to sacrifice a land or 2. Oh, shit. I'm choosing lands to keep. So I have to keep 3 lands. Okay, so we're going to go black, green. And then I have to choose the order. Doesn't matter to me. And then I'm going to have to sack all my creatures. And he's going to have to discard 2 cards. And then I'm going to have an imp. Ooh, goodbye swords. Goodbye spinal graft. And I'm going to have to sack a land to smokestack. Ugh, awful. Awful. So we'll sack that swamp, I guess. Get another swamp. Get a putrid imp. I don't like his game. His game is just grinding the game out. I have no way of killing Smokestack. I'm going to be permanently off Living Death because I'm going to have to start sacrificing lands. Pretty bad position. Looks like he's going to sack a swamp. Away it goes. He's down to 2 mana. His deck can operate on it, though. He's gone up to 2 counters on the smokestack, too. Well, if you want to Armageddon us, you can Armageddon us. I'm going to keep my creature. Croson Tusker. You are not going to be cycled or cast for a long time. Let's take him to 10. He's going to have to either sack both lands or the smokestack and a land. His deck is essentially mutually assured destruction. Sacks the smokestack, finally, and a swamp. So we're both operating on 1 mana. So it's like we mulled to 2. And started the game at random life totals. He's going to have to draw into lands, though. Oh, there's 1. How many lands can I draw into? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I do have 10 lands left, so almost 50% of my deck is lands. There's 1 right there. We will swing in for 2. Got 3 cards in hand. Hopefully they're expensive and he can't cast them. Oh, looks like he misses a land. Get in for 2, take him to 6. That smokestack and that balance might not have been his friend. Hits a land. Are we going to start seeing things? Addle. Choose black, choose black, choose black, choose black. He chose black. Sorry. You wasted your addle. Ooh, I can cycle that. In for 2. It could also just kill him next turn if I were to hit a forest. 1 forest, 2 forest, 3 forest. So I should have a good number of forests in my hand. So I'm going to keep that actually. Tangle, alright. In for 2. We might win it here. He's going to need a flying blocker. Or a kill spell. He says good games. Good games indeed, despite that awful, awful smokestack. He says he messed up with the triggers of the smokestack. Yeah, I wouldn't want to deal with those triggers. They look pretty complicated and annoying. 2 triggers off the same card every single upkeep, not fun. Cost him $6. That's a shame. There we go. Just waiting for him to stir up. So what was he holding? He just showed me here. He was holding a lot of stuff he couldn't cast. Oh, that would have been pretty good. That he couldn't cast. He was 1 off from that. Was I going to see a forest anytime soon? No, I was going to see a whole lot of green stuff. Well, we pulled it out. We won a match. That means we're going to get a pack of Vintage Masters. And Vintage Masters is going away in something like 10 hours. So I'm probably not going to play it again. So I might actually crack it. Because who knows when Vintage Masters is coming back. And it's only worth like, I think 4 tickets. And there could be a Black Lotus inside. There's almost definitely not. But there could be. Who knows. So stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for round 3.